Okay, I gotta be completely honest with you here. This is actually the third time I've recorded this HomePod video. Now, the first was gonna be this sort of perfectly benign review, right? I mean, it's a great speaker, it sounds really good, it looks really cool, it's a great Apple speaker. But then you know what happened, right? The white ring of death. You have to say it like that, otherwise you lose effect. I'm Batman. And you know what? It happened on a day where I actually had been up since 3 a.m. and I was pretty pissed about that already. And I don't think that helped the speaker any. So, you take a deep breath, you wait a couple days, and we give it another go. Here it comes. This is the HomePod. So, as always, let's start with the easy stuff. This is the Apple HomePod. So the basics, HomePod costs $350, and that's really not that awful for an awfully good speaker. And yes, it's an awfully good speaker. It's surprisingly small and surprisingly heavy, and heavy's good. For one, speakers have magnets. Magnets are heavy, but also yes, the power supply is tucked up in there. And I tell you, I love the way the little mesh cover looks on it. It's really got some depth to it because there are a few layers to it. Looks great. But I've been driving myself a little crazy with all the speakers I have laying around here, trying to figure out which one's the best. So here's the deal. If you haven't heard by now, yeah, HomePod sounds really good, but don't bother putting it up against things like the Amazon Echo or even the Echo Plus, or especially the original Google Home. They're just different speakers in different categories and at very different price points. Now, to do this right, I think you really have to compare it to something like the Google Home Max or the Sonos Play 5. Now, both of those are more expensive. Google Home Max is $400, Sonos Play 5 is $500. So I've been sitting here in my living room for a while now, listening to all kinds of music and at all kinds of volumes. No, I'm just kidding, there's only one volume, 11.
Does that mean it's louder? Is it any louder?
Well, it's one louder, isn't it?
And the really funny thing would happen, I would have the music on here behind me and I would be working in the kitchen and I would look up and completely forget which speaker it was I was testing. And that's a good thing, right? That means they're all actually fairly close in sound quality. They all sound really good and they all do a really good job of filling a room. Now, interesting thing about the HomePod actually, the closer you get to it, the worse it sounds. So it's obviously meant to kind of get that echo thing going and fill a room with sound. And I think that actually leads us to the next question, which is which one of these speakers will work the best for you in the way you listen to music and do it at the price point that you need. First, though, yeah, the elephant in the room. HomePod has a silicone base. It's rubber. And if you leave it sitting on some wood tables, especially tables with some sort of oily finish, that rubber base is going to come off. Now, I've actually had it on a couple wood tables, and in fact, it didn't even leave a ring at first, so I was a little surprised, like a lot of people, when these stories first came out. But once I sprayed down my dresser in the bedroom to dust it, which is something we don't do enough, really, yeah, there it was, big white ring. So yeah, here's what I think is happening, right? Oily finishes that are not uncommon on some wood tables, some have them, some don't, causes the rubber to sort of start melting off, right? And that leaves the ring on the bottom. Or it can leave several rings if you've decided to get a little artistic. That's not really a new phenomenon, right? Ask any parent who's got a top drawer they don't let their kids in, and we all know silicone and oil-based products do not mix. And some folks say that you should put a coaster under the HomePod because of course everybody knows that the bottom's gonna rub off. No, stop. I mean, $20 Bluetooth speakers from China have gotten this right for years. I've had all kinds of speakers on all kinds of surfaces in this house. None of them has ever done anything nearly this bad. But Phil, what about Sonos? It leaves marks too, right? Okay, here's the deal. I've had a Play 3 on this dresser forever. Nothing comes off, doesn't leave any marks at all. Now, I don't normally keep the Sonos One back here, so it's not something I saw at first, but yeah, I tested it, and yes, you get faint little markings from the 4 feet, but not nearly as bad as what HomePod does. But in any event, that doesn't matter because it has absolutely nothing to do with HomePod. It sure doesn't excuse what's coming off. Somehow, Apple blew it here. I don't know how, I can't believe it either, but it's really bad. What are you gonna do about it? Yes, you could stick something under your speaker, maybe put it on some newspaper until it's housebroken, I don't know. But let's just skip to the end. I don't think I would reward a company with my money if they put out a product like this. Defend Apple all you want out there, guys, but these are stupid, silly mistakes. Now look, I can actually forgive the Apple lock-in here with HomePod, right? It's Apple's speaker. Of course they're gonna make it work really well with Apple products like Apple Music and Siri. They're gonna make sure their own stuff works best and first at the expense of everybody else. And again, it does sound really good, but as I've been listening to it out here with all the other speakers, I forget which one I'm listening to. It just doesn't sound that much better. And let me just throw this one more wrench in there. I've got this $200 soundbar hooked up to my TV behind me, and it sounds pretty comparable too. So we've got a speaker that does all of Apple stuff really well, not so much everybody else, especially if you want to start using voice commands for it, right? Doesn't do multi-room audio yet, and we have no idea when it will. I mean, yeah, you can send other apps to it through AirPlay, and you can even use it for an Apple TV speaker, though that's not great, and I certainly wouldn't recommend it. And yeah, it's less expensive than a Sonos Play 5 or a Google Home Max. That's not insignificant. But I tell you, between the Ring thing, which I do think is a big deal even if you can work around it, and the Apple lock-in, and for me, I think the bigger one is that it just doesn't do anything with multiple speakers yet. That's kind of a non-starter. The short version, unless you use an iPhone all the time and Apple Music and Siri, don't bother. It's not even gonna work for you. If you do use at least, I say 2 out of those 3 things a lot, it's a really good speaker at $350. But yeah, it's got a lot of limitations and we don't know when these updates are gonna come. And you know, it still kind of pees all over the rug if you're not careful. Deep breath. That was so much more relaxing than my previous rants. Thanks for sticking around. If you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Be sure to go share these videos with all your friends. Let them know what it is we are doing here. Got a lot of good stuff coming up. Go follow me on all the socials. Links down below in the description. That's it. See you next time.